Hello again and welcome to another episode of Character Creation. This time we'll be looking at Old World of Darkness, Genovian, or Giovanni. I guess Giovanni is actually probably the right one, with how it's spelled and all. Okay. This is probably one of the... Lore-wise, it's a pretty significant, clan. They actually came about because they killed the Cappadocians. But we'll get into that later on when we actually make a Cappadocian. For now, basically, they're the necromancers. The weakness of their clan is whenever they bite someone, it causes immense amounts of pain. Normally, there are two ways for a vampire to feed. You could either bite or you could kiss. The kiss is basically a bite, but you're not ripping or anything like that. And you normally would lick the wound clean. Vampire saliva has some healing agents which would close up the wound, if the person's still alive. With Giovanni, when they bite, when they perform the kiss, it will actually cause damage. So it is more than possible that they could kill somebody without meaning it. Makes it a little hard for them to feed. So, let's go ahead and start up. What will we name her? Or him? Him would probably sound good. Let's try Mark. For nature, we're just going to go ahead and throw some things in there. A traditionalist fanatic. Let's see, what would be a good concept for Giovanni? That might be a nice idea. Let's make him a Dawn. In life, he was a Dawn of a mob. Let's go ahead and start off as normal. 13th generation. His sire would have been... Brad. Brad's a good name. Okay, as before, 753, 1395, 357. Pretty much standard. So, let's see here. Let's go ahead, put in some of these. You stop clicking in boxes that are already clicked. Okay. This time I'm making a character that isn't very strong. As you see, he's about as strong, he's average strong. Now, of course, he's a vampire, so his average strong is stronger than a human, but he's probably not winning any arm wrestling contests with any vampires anytime soon. Charisma, he has a lot of charisma, and he's really good at manipulating people. He's got a nice appearance. He probably wears suits around pretty much everywhere. It's above average, so he's probably wearing a suit. He's not wearing a tuxedo, but he looks good. You might think he's a lawyer or something like that if you saw him off the street. He's pretty intelligent as well. So let's see here. Again, 5, 9, 13. So, let's see, what would be good? And, actually, let's go ahead and move that to melee. Okay, that works. Now... Okay. So we have our 5s. Let's go ahead and go for our 9s. And now let's go for our 13. Let's go ahead and put that in medicine. Okay, this character, he's very intimidating. He's got a nice little bit of leadership. He probably, he was a Dawn in life, so he probably still has a bit of pull. And he's pretty streetwise. I mean, he was kind of high up there, so he's not, like, down. He knows where you can fence things. He knows where you can get drugged. But he's not, like, all up in that stuff. He doesn't know where every single drug maker is, or he can't walk down a street and go, okay, that's a meth lab, and that's a coke den. No, he was too high above that, but he still has some of the basic knowledge. He can drive, not very well, but he has basic driving, so he can drive around town if nothing's going on. He has some etiquette. He is proper, and he has some melee skills. He's probably pretty good at bashing people's knees in with baseball bats, or maybe he goes at people with chainsaws. For his knowledge, he has a bit of finance. He knows how to deal with money. He knows the law. He knows how to kind of skirt it a little bit. He knows a couple of languages. He has some pretty good information about medicine. He knows about the occult, and he knows some politics. So, he knows whose palms to grease and all that. Hell, he might even have held office as a deputy governor or something. Okay, with disciplines you have dominate. We remember dominate. Allows you to control, allows you to force people to do your will. Necromancy, pretty self-explanatory. Raise the dead, etc., etc. And potence makes you stronger. Well, let's see here. He doesn't have a lot of strength, but he is a melee character, so I'm going to say he probably has a point in potence. And I'm going to give him a point in all 3. This will give him, he can kind of dominate people a little bit, helps with his politics, it would help out with his manipulation. He's not all that strong, but since he does use a melee weapon, I'm going to go ahead and say that is within his strength. So, I'm going to bash you with a baseball bat. He's going to kind of consume a blood point and bash somebody upside the back of the head with a baseball bat. With necromancy, at level 1, I believe, you can raise, like, small zombie-like drones. Actually, let me look at that for a second. And while I look at that, we're going to go ahead and move on to backgrounds. Okay, I'm going to say he probably has allies and fame. Now, his fame is probably infamy, but... yeah, who knows. Sorry. I'm going to say he probably has... I'm going to say he doesn't have that many allies anymore, actually. I'm going to say he probably only has 1 ally left. And I'm going to say the rest is in resources. I mean, he was a Dawn, so he probably has some money. Actually, I could probably just completely cut out allies. But, by the way, as I was saying, with Necromancy level 1, allows you to see the last few moments of a corpse's life. Level 2 allows you to summon spirits and stuff, so... Like, there are a few forms of it, but I believe that's the Giovanni's path, is the Spectres Path. This is actually a really good one to do this on, because Necromancy is the first form of magic we've come up against, so we're going to talk about the paths of Necromancy. So, going back to this for a minute, you have the Spectres Path. At level 1 it allows Insight, then it allows you to summon wraiths, and you can start conforming spirits to your will. The Path of Bone allows you to start with making corpses, and like you can, at the level 1 you can make a corpse do some lifelike movements, although it's not alive. So you can kind of make it move a little bit, but not enough that it's getting up and walking. But then later on you can basically you can raise the dead, and you can even like remove someone's soul and or put a soul inside of a corpse. There's the Path of Ash, which allows you to enter the Shadowlands, which is kind of like Purgatory. There are only 3 paths for Necromancy, but some of the other ones do get into large amounts of paths, so I figured this one's probably a good one. So let's go ahead and say Necromancy, and then we're going to put Bone, so that we know this is Path of Bone. That sounds good. Okay, now we're going to move on to Virtues. He's probably got a lot of courage, a lot of self-control, maybe a little bit of conscience. I mean, it is his daughter's wedding, blah blah blah. We are talking about a mobster. I'm going to give him an extra point in courage. That 5s us out on both sides. Roll for... Oh, nice. Roll for blood. He starts off with 10. Perfect score. Now we have 15 points we can throw back in. So let's go ahead and give him... Let's give him an extra point of willpower. And let's see here. Wait, there we go. 7. Okay. So now he has a little bit of alertness. He's still pretty intimidating. He's got some leadership skills. He's a little bit better of a driver now. He's pretty good at hitting things. I've also given him some security and stealth. This will allow him to kind of... Like, he knows some security. He knows about security guards and stuff like that. From back in the day when he was just a footman. Though it's much rusty. And he doesn't know about a lot of the newfangled contraptions, such as computers. And I've also given him a little bit of stealth because, hey, he might be he might look good, but he's kind of one of those guys, he could probably blend in if he wanted to. So, here we've made ourselves a Giovanni. In my personal opinion, I don't really like them. I think their clan history, they're kind of dicks. And personally, if I was going to build a Necromancer, I'd probably prefer to have a Cappadocian. They're better, in my honest opinion. Their Necromancy is called Mortis. It's stronger than Necromancy. It has more fills that it's capable of going down, or more paths that it can follow. Also, the Cappadocians are a little bit more interesting to play. Cappadocians still age. Like, their skin will age. So once you've hit like a 200, 300-year-old Cappadocian, you look like you're 200, 300 years old. You don't die, you just look like crap. So it's a little more fun to roleplay them. Yeah, so I personally would choose one of them over Giovanni. But at the same time, I do have some friends who prefer playing Giovanni over pretty much everything else because, well, I don't know why, they just kind of like it. It's not my cup of tea, but I'm not going to blame them for liking it. Giovanni don't really have much going for them. Like, as you can see here, they don't really, like, the Giovanni are the Giovanni. They have their clan tag, which is a specialized G. And their nicknames are pretty much the Italian vampires. Now, there is one thing on the role-playing side of Giovanni that's a little interesting, is that Giovanni is actually their name. Like, it's the name of the leader, and it's the name of the family. Every member of the clan, like, virtually every member of the clan is a member of the Giovanni family. So, pretty much it's a course of sons and, like, fathers being sired, or siring their grandchildren and children and stuff like that. So, if you make a character, like this character is going to be Marcus Giovanni, and his sire is Brad Giovanni. It is possible to be outside the family, but it is very unlikely. So, it's not a weakness of the clan, it's not a strength of the clan, it's just kind of a fact of the clan, that Giovanni, the leader, has pretty much been like, hey, we're going to keep this to the family, we're going to keep our powers secretive and all that. So, yeah. One other thing is, as you can see here, disciplines. Pretty much any vampire can learn almost any discipline, but stuff like necromancy, necromancy, thaumaturgy, I'm trying to think of some other ones that have paths. Well, any of the spells that have paths that lead into them, that have different forms of what it is, instead of learning those genetically, you actually have to be taught them. So, necromancy being the Giovanni being the only surviving necromancers, in theory. There is a couple others, but they're offshoots. There is the Samadhi, which is a offshoot of Nosferatu. And then there's the Nagaraja, which we'll have to get into that later. But those are bloodlines. Anyway, as said, this was a Giovanni, and yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I might not have explained this one as well as I have the other ones, because I just don't deal with Giovanni as much. So, if there are any questions, feel free to ask, and, well, have fun.